My name is Matt Evans, and I'm a GIS program specialist for the Indiana Geographic Information Office. And today I will be presenting on what I think is one of the most exciting features about the new IndianaMap platform, which is our community accounts. So on our first slide here, I have just kind of a quick agenda for this webinar. So I'll start by going through, I believe, 8 slides that are going to introduce the IndianaMap community platform and talk about some of the different capabilities that these user licenses will give you if you sign up for it. And then the rest of the webinar will be kind of more interactive demo portion where I'll walk everybody through signing up for an account, accessing IndianaMap data in the ArcGIS Online environment that the community organization is within. And then we will spend some time creating a custom web map and working with some data hosted on IndianaMap, and then kind of showing what you can do with that capability as well. So to start with, IndianaMap is deployed on Esri's ArcGIS Hub platform, and ArcGIS Hub is a solution that allows organizations to create custom online websites and share geospatial data and applications with the general public. And this is a platform that is kind of being widely adopted by federal government, state government, and state agencies for their open data needs. ArcGIS Hub is integrated with ArcGIS Online, and all of the data that is shared out on the open data site is kind of pushed out through the ArcGIS Online environment through different group sharing. And in specific with IndianaMap, we host the site on ArcGIS Hub Premium, which is another level of licensing above the default ArcGIS Hub platform. And ArcGIS Hub Premium offers a couple of specific functionalities that ArcGIS Hub doesn't. And the main one that I'm going to talk about today is the community ArcGIS Online organization. So when we stood up the IndianaMap Hub site and Hub organization, this deployed a standalone ArcGIS Online organization. And we offer user licenses for anybody that signs up for one of these accounts, and that is all free of charge. And I will kind of briefly talk about what ArcGIS Online is, kind of in a general sense next. So ArcGIS Online is one of Esri's primary web-based mapping and data hosting solutions. And this allows any content contributed by a member who has a license within that organization to kind of centralize that data, any maps and applications within one place so content can be shared both internally within the organization, but then also out to the general public. This also allows users to create and administer a variety of groups if you want to share data for editing only with a few specific other people or not share it fully to the public. That can all be done within this ArcGIS Online organization as well. So when a user signs up for a community license, this grants you a creator level ArcGIS Online license. The creator level is a pretty powerful user license that allows you to upload and host data, share data, either, as I said, with groups or with the general public. Also allows you to create and manage those groups, gives you a lot of freedom in creating and customizing interactive web maps, and gives you a whole kind of suite of out-of-the-box web applications and application templates, all driven by GIS data that you can integrate your maps and data into and then continue to share out as needed. With these free accounts, we also give any user 500 credits, and these credits are kind of a currency in ArcGIS Online that are consumed by kind of a variety of different tasks that you might do. So the kind of main ones are listed below on that slide. Hosting data will consume credits at a rate based on the size of the data that you're hosting. If you use the Esri World Geocoder, which is a commercial geocoder that Esri offers to turn address data in a tabular format or table format into points on a map, that uses credits. If you run geoprocessing or analysis tools on data that you have hosted, It will also use credits at different rates depending on which tool you're using. And if you obtain any premium demographic reports or premium services, as Esri calls them, or enrich your data with demographic information hosted by Esri, that will also use some of your credits. This is not necessarily a hard limit. It's just the default that we grant each user. So if a user has a need to utilize more credits, they can always get in touch with somebody that administers that organization like myself. I will have my contact information at the end of the slideshow, and we can get more credits allocated on a user by user basis. One of the primary things that ArcGIS Online is used for is data hosting, as I mentioned. So this function allows users to either create blank geospatial data templates and set up the fields and everything, and then go in and edit and create features within that data set. You can also upload data in a variety of formats. So you can upload CSVs or Excel files for tabular data, zipped file geodatabases or zipped shapefiles. You can also upload documents and images. If you're uploading either the tabular or geospatial data, you can host that data within Esri's kind of cloud environment, data hosting environment, and create web services off of that data. So a web service is kind of GIS data that lives in the online ecosystem, and you can share that out by a URL with others or easily integrate it into your own web maps and applications. If you're uploading geospatial data into this platform, I have a couple different web service formats of note. So the feature service is kind of the default Esri web service format for vector data. And this allows you to query the data, change your symbology, run geoprocessing or analysis off of that data set, and continue to create features and edit that data. Can also create WFSs if you're looking to host and create open source compatible GIS data, and can also generate build pre-generated tile layers that will allow kind of optimized performance and everything off of that vector data. And then from here, once you create data, you can fully share that out with the public and integrate it into your custom web maps and applications. That note, we offer kind of a full suite of custom web mapping with this software solution. So you can integrate, of course, your own hosted data that you create or edit. You can also pull data and web services either from IndianaMap or any external GIS site. Wanted to note the Esri Living Atlas is a gigantic collection of geospatial data that Esri publishes and provides to the public kind of with open licensing that you can integrate into these maps as well. In the capability section on this slide, I have a list of some of the kind of primary things that you can do with the data to make it display differently or interact with it differently within your web maps. So you can edit or modify a layer's symbology, so the colors that appear for the different classes of the data that you're looking at, and just generally how it kind of appears. Within the web mapping view, you can label data and customize your labeling with kind of a variety of different options. You can customize and create your own pop-ups for data based on the attribute table when you click on a feature. Can kind of fully customize what information will be retrieved and show to the end user when you customize your pop-ups. You can filter data if there's only certain features that you want to show in your web map for your purposes. It's a wide variety of both spatial and attribute features that you can set up on your data. And of course, change your base map in your web map from a variety of different base map options, or create your own base maps. With these accounts, we also offer kind of a variety of different web mapping application templates, which you can create a web map and then pull that into any of these templates or solutions. Wanted to note a couple of kind of primary ones that I thought might be of interest, which the first one is story maps. This allows you to integrate web maps and geospatial data along with narrative content to kind of build storytelling applications. Dashboards allow you to integrate a variety of data analytics and reporting elements within your data and mapping needs. Experience Builder is kind of a blank slate for general web mapping content. There's a huge variety of widgets and elements and different functionality that you can build into an Experience Builder application, including some kind of custom coding elements if you want to go down that route. And Survey 123 would allow you to deploy surveys that feed into a geospatial or tabular data set that you can share with the public or users if you have any kind of surveying needs. So ArcGIS Online license also grants you access to a variety of different geoprocessing tools, and we have a couple of different geocoding options that we offer kind of centralized within this ArcGIS Online organization. So wanted to note 4 different kind of geoprocessing capabilities that come out of the box that I thought might be of interest. So you can join data from one data set to another if you have a common ID through attribute joins, or if you want to kind of summarize information or join information to another data set based on its spatial location. ArcGIS Online also offers spatial joins through this geoprocessing window. Can also do a variety of statistical analysis on geospatial data, so finding hotspots and performing other kind of statistical analysis on your data. You can enrich data, which is one of those credit costing geoprocessing tools that I mentioned earlier. So Esri has a variety of demographic data that you can kind of enrich or join to your own custom data using the enrich data functionality, and also offers travel time and travel cost analysis based on kind of commercial road network information that Esri has hosted. We also have, as I mentioned, 2 geocoders. So if you have a list of addresses or like a spreadsheet of addresses or something that you want to get displayed on a map and let you interact with it that way, we have a state of Indiana geocoder. So this is a geocoding service that we build with data that we collect from all 92 counties from the data harvest every year. So this gets updated every year in the winter. We should have the 2023 kind of vintage of that geocoder published early next year. You can geocode and batch geocode addresses using that geocoder. That does not consume any credits, but we do have it integrated into this ArcGIS Online organization. We also let users take advantage of the Esri World geocoder, which is as I mentioned earlier, a fully kind of commercial geocoder. This does use credits to run from your 500 credit allocation. And wanted to briefly talk about what is not included in these free accounts. So we do not offer ArcGIS Desktop, so ArcMap, ArcCatalog, or ArcGIS Pro licenses. With these accounts, we have restricted access to some applications that were deemed to be potentially problematic to give users let users kind of run with. This includes ArcGIS, the Desktop App Studio, ArcGIS Hub, ArcGIS Maps for Adobe Creative Cloud, and ArcGIS Workforce. And then since you have to accept the Esri Master Agreement when you are signing up for these accounts, any content or application that violates the Esri Master Agreement is not permitted. And I will come back to this slideshow when we get to answering any questions at the end of the presentation, which will also have my contact information on it. But with that, I will kind of walk everybody through how to sign up for an account and create a custom web map and save some custom views of IndianaMap data. So we will start, this is the homepage of IndianaMap.org. You can see at the top right of the screen, I'm not signed into any account on this site currently. So the first step that we need to take to get an account created is to click on the Engage page. And this page is kind of the primary landing point for users to create the community accounts and access that community organization if they don't have the URL bookmarked or anything like that. So to start, you can click on this orange button under the Create a Community Account section, which will launch a new window that asks for some basic information and requires you to agree to the Esri Master Agreement and ArcGIS Online privacy policy. So I will real quick enter my name and a email address here, accept both of these agreements, hit next. And once you hit next, this will send an activation link to your email, which we should have coming into my demo account here. So once you get this email from ArcGIS Notifications, you simply need to press this URL in the beginning or in the middle of the email that comes through. And please note that this link is only active for 24 hours. So if you do not activate your account within 24 hours, you will need to start the process over again. Once I click on this link, this will let me set up a username and password. I will real quick do. And once we hit the create account button at the bottom, we are both signed into the site and also have our account created. So you can see my username here, and it says IndianaMap Community is where this account is coming from. So if I go back to the Engage page, we will see that that orange button in the middle of the page has turned from sign up to community site. And if we click on this, it will navigate us away to this ArcGIS Online organization's landing page, which is where we can start to consume and interact with IndianaMap data, create our custom web maps, and do all of that great stuff. So when a user, as of about September of this year, when a user signs up for an account, they are automatically added to this group that is we created to share data from the IndianaMap site to this community organization. So if you press groups at the top of the page, you can see we are showing groups that I'm an active member in. And this IndianaMap community data sharing group is the group where all of the 260 odd layers that are on indianamap.org are available for users to pull directly into their maps and applications from. This group is also joinable if any user has an account from a different ArcGIS Online organization that you want to join this to more seamlessly integrate IndianaMap data into your own content. This group is joinable from any organization, and we will be publishing some written documentation, kind of a how-to guide on this community organization that will also kind of guide users from other organizations on how to join this from their site so that they can get all that content integrated. So to get started with kind of customizing some data from IndianaMap and customizing a web map, the place to start would be to click on this map button at the top of the screen. If any of you are familiar with ArcGIS Online web maps, you'll see that this is the new map viewer that Esri deployed in 2021, I believe. So you can still use the classic map viewer if you click on this button near the top right of the screen, but by default, we have users go to the new map viewer. So to start, we will want to add some data from IndianaMap to this blank web map. So you start on this layers section of the map viewer here, and we can press on add. By default, this points you to my content. I've not published any data yet, so there's not anything that it can browse to get pulled into the map here. But if we click on this drop down here, you have my groups. And because the new users are automatically added to that data sharing group, all of the IndianaMap content by default should be here when you click on this group. So I have a couple of layers that I wanted to get added to the map to kind of get something set up. So we will start with Indiana's kind of best available ortho imagery. And if you search for those keywords, a couple layers might show up depending on their tags and their description where it's hosted. And I've added the imagery to the map, and you can see once we zoom in a little bit, it starts to draw in. And By default, when you add a new layer to the map, pop-ups are enabled. So if we click on anywhere on the imagery, it will retrieve some information from it. So if we do not want that to happen, we can go ahead and press this pop-ups button on the right of the screen. And if we uncheck this box, you can see that preview of what the pop-up would look like will now not show up anymore. Next, I was going to add some historic sites and structures that have been surveyed by the Indiana Department of Natural Resources. So if we look up IDNR historic, you can get IDNR historic sites and structures. This has now been added to the map, and you can see that we do not yet see anything. Any layer that we have hosted has a default visibility range or a scale range. So if I zoom in to below the edge of that bar here, you can see they start to pop in. And if I want to make those show when you're zoomed a little bit further out, we can adjust the back end of that bar and they will start to display a little bit further out. Last layer I wanted to add was some municipal boundaries for our cities and towns. So we have some 2021 municipal boundaries here that are then drawn on top of our points. So what we can do to start is reorder any of the layers that have been added to this map. So if I click on the census municipal boundaries and drag that below the historic sites and structures, you can see that now the points are being drawn on top of those gray polygon boundaries. You can also move the imagery to the base map if you don't want it to show up in the list of your layers. So if you click on the three dots next to the title of any of the layers, down at the bottom here, we have move to base map. Once that's done, it will not change how it's displayed on the screen, but it will be moved into the base map section of the web map, which now had that blue dot next to it to show that something has changed. And you can see that that's all integrated with the other layers from Esri within the base map there. So now that we have our layers added to the map, we can start kind of customizing how they display and how you can interact with them. So if I click on these three dots again on the IDNR surveyed historic sites and structures, you can press show properties, and then all of these buttons on the far right of your page will allow you to kind of change a bunch of different things about how it's displayed and how you can interact with it. So to start, if we want to filter out any of these points, we can do that. So all of these points, the different colors represent a different value for the rating field when these sites were surveyed. So if we want to filter out some, either that the building might have been demolished or if it has been deemed not contributing historically, when it was surveyed, we can pretty easily do that. So we'll start by adding an expression, just an attribute query or attribute expression, and we can select a field that we want to filter by. We can say rating is not demolished, and then some of the points will start to disappear from the map. We can also add another expression. So now it is saying if it is not demolished and it is not non-contributing, any of those points that match that expression will start to draw on the map. Once we hit save, that filter will be saved. You can also go in and edit the layer symbology, so how these point symbols are being displayed. So you can either symbolize it based on an attribute, if you want to have single symbol, so every feature looking the exact same, single symbol would do that. And we have kind of this pre-built symbology based on the rating of these different points by default. So if we press style options, this will let us change the colors, change what the kind of shape of each point looks like. So if I hit edit here, we can start by pressing on this basic point up at the top of this this box. And if we want to change that to a diamond shape instead of a circle, they're now drawing as diamonds, and you can change each color individually. You can also pick from kind of predefined color palette options and modify the point symbol's transparency, and we can also change its outline color. So if I turn the transparency down, we should start to see a bit more of a gray outline around these point symbols. Another thing that's pretty neat that you can do with this data is customize its pop-ups, as I said earlier. So by default, any of these point symbols will just retrieve a list of the values for that point. So what we can do is build a URL that will allow you to click on a point and navigate away to an external page hosted by IDNR that allows you to view a lot more information about the survey for each site and information about its architecture, some of its history, and that kind of stuff. So if we want to add any content to the pop-up, we would press this Add Content button at the bottom. This allows you to do a field list, a chart, if you want a chart of different values, an image, a text expression, or an arcade expression, which allows you to do kind of a whole suite of different kind of conditional formatting on your pop-ups and populate information if it exists and has a certain value, etc. So if we press text, this will bring a blank text box, and what I can do here is enter some text saying view site report. And if I highlight this text, we can click on this button for the link. And this means when you press on this text, it will link you away to whatever I put in here. So I have copied some text from the IDNR's shard database for this data set. And at the end here, we have a survey number equals in the URL. So we can put in a bracket to start inputting a attribute value for each feature into that URL. So if I type in shard ID and close it, press the checkbox to complete it, you can see this has changed to kind of a hyperlink look. And if we press OK, you can see that pop up for the feature that I've selected has changed. So if I click on View Site Report here, it should load the shard page for this cemetery that we have. And you can scroll down and view a whole kind of suite of information about this individual site. You can also label content, as I mentioned earlier. So for the municipal boundaries, if we want to have each town and city have a label saying what the name of it is, we again would click on the three dots next to it, show properties. And the labeling option is a little further down the list on the right-hand side of the screen. So if we press on labels, we can add a label class. So it just picks a random attribute from that data. So you can see it has, if it's a census designated place, a town, or a city in the label. If we don't want that to be the case, we can click on this drop down and instead press on place name, which will clean up the labels a bit and just have the name of the city or town. Census designated places still have the CDP at the end of their name to indicate kind of that it's not an actual incorporated area. The new map viewer also allows you to filter your labels and gives you a lot more control over your label style, including its placement. So for example, we could make an offset off of the feature. You can see the labels kind of moving around as I move that dot around on the offset button. But now that we have a start to kind of an interactive web map, we'll go ahead and save this to our content so we can go back and take a look at it later. So down at the bottom, the icon that looks like a folder allows you to save or open another web map. So if I press on Save As, and give this a simple title and revisit it later. And another thing that I think is pretty exciting about what you can do with the hosted content that we have on IndianaMap. So we did all this work to edit the IDNR historic sites and structures data, kind of how it's visualized and everything. And we can actually save that as an item within our users' content so that we can pull that into other maps and applications as we see fit. So again, pressing these three dots down kind of a little bit below the middle of the box that pops up, you have a Save As button. And we can give that another name and press Save. And once that has been saved, I will go ahead and navigate us to our user's content. So if we go back to the home page, kind of the landing page of the community organization site. The quickest way to get to this is by pressing the content button at the top ribbon of your page here. You can see by default, this goes to content that is owned by your user or that you have published. So we have the demo web map that I created a few minutes ago and the demo feature layer from the historic sites and structures. So if we click on the data, you can see some of the information has been stripped from what it might look like if we opened it on the homepage of IndianaMap or something, but this does allow you to customize your new layer's title, its summary, its description, its terms of use, if you have anything else that you want to add to it. And most importantly, if I press on Open in Map Viewer, we can see that all of the customization that I did to this layer, once we bring us to the right area again, has been maintained. So once the points start to draw, you can see instead of the circles that we had when I first added it to the other web map, we're showing the diamond shapes with a little border around them. And if we have some of the content filtered as we set up, and if I press on any of these points, you can see the exact same URL has been built into that pop-up. And again, we can press on that, which will take us to the report for each individual site. To show some of the functionality on integrating a web map into a web application, I will really quick go back to the home page. I'm not going to go as in-depth into setting up a dashboard or something like that, just kind of how to get something simple started that you could kind of run with. So if you want to create a application, the quickest way I would recommend to do it is to press this little waffle grid right next to your username when you're signed into the site. Here's where you can view all of the different kind of application templates or solutions that we have to offer. So I will start by clicking on dashboards, which will bring us to another landing page where we can create a new blank dashboard. So if you press this blue button for create dashboard, and again, title it demo for something simple, and this will create something blank with nothing in it. And if we want to start by adding the map that we just created, you can press this plus button in the center here, press on map, and then select the demo web map that I created a little bit ago. And then from here, you can kind of run with it. You can set up a variety of filters that would allow you, if you select one of these different towns, to give you a list of all the historic sites and structures within that city or town. Can also, based on that spatial kind of filtering behavior, you can set up a series of charts or indicators or other kind of reporting and analytics information if you want to pull that from either your own hosted data or our IndianaMap data. That is all I had for a demo. I will go ahead and get the slideshow pulled up. And I think with that, if anybody had any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. I have my cell phone number and my email address listed on this slide. So if you have questions moving forward, you are more than welcome to reach out to me and I'll be happy to help. But with that, I will go back to the chat here. Yes, so thank you, Marianne, for answering the first question. We are recording the webinar and we will have it on our YouTube channel that Marianne linked in the chat there, and that should be posted within the next couple of days after the webinar is downloaded and recording is downloaded and everything. And Allie, I saw the question about accessing the data from a different Esri account. If you have one through a different institution, you can do that pretty painlessly. We will have a guide published by the end of this month, probably within the next week or two, on how to use the community organization, and that will include some information about how you can access that IndianaMap data sharing group from another account. If you would like, you can also send me an email to that mevans@iot.in.gov email address, and I would be more than happy to walk you through the process before we get that published on how to get everything integrated. And can we add a hyperlink to a location if we want to reference something or somewhere? I don't think I fully understand your question, Chad, but if I will try to answer it, and if I did not, feel free to ask again, and I will do my best to get that answered for you. So you can add a link to any content within that pop-up, and it does not have to be driven by any of the attributes within the hosted GIS data. So to how I'm interpreting the question, you should be able to do that. But if there's something more specific that you were asking, just let me know. I will go ahead and stop recording.